So here we are. Excited to be here. What a fantastic day. Thank you everybody for coming. We couldn't have picked a better morning for this. The sun is shining, it's beautiful outside, and we have you all here, so we appreciate you. Thank you for coming. So it's been 4 years since we started our work on this redevelopment. It also marked the inception of my development company starting, so that's exciting. This is my first project, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you. And it wouldn't be possible without my partner, Jason Korb. So another round of applause for him. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how this came to fruition for me. I know it's been a long, storied history here in the community, which I'll get to in a minute. But like anything, I was getting going with my business, and I was out prospecting, and I took a drive by Bridgewater. A friend of mine said, "Oh, there's an old school building in Bridgewater. You should check it out." So I headed down and, of course, drove by, and my first reaction was, oh, I love this building. It's hard to not fall in love with the real estate. I mean, it's a beautiful building. Storied history, lots of character, just something really, really exciting. So I immediately picked up the phone, and I called the town hall to say, hey, what's going on with that Bridgewater building? And they said, oh, we have an RFP. Great. So I said, okay, what do I do next? I need to find a partner. Okay, I called Jason. Jason said, of course I want to do that with you. So we teamed up, we submitted the RFP, and we were off and running. And it was one of these things where we didn't know what we were going to do. We had a great concept initially, submitted it to the town. The building had been vacant since 1996. There were numerous attempts to reuse it, sell it, rehabilitate it. And then we submitted our proposal, anxiously waiting for a response. And come to find, we were the only bidder. Great. So what else is there to do, right? If you're the only bidder, sure, it's ours. So no, it was not. And that was a really good thing, because nobody knew us, and there was a lot of work to do on the ground. So we had to introduce ourselves to the community. We spent almost a year working with the town and the community so they could understand our vision for the site. There was a lot going on here. It was extremely complicated, what we were proposing. Tax credits, historic preservation, new construction, and then the structure behind me, 242 Main Street, which has its own story, where we weren't sure we had enough land, and it went up for sale, actually just as we were about to go under contract with the town. And Jason said we should buy that building too. So we bought the building at 242 Main Street, and we decided to maintain the 3 units that currently exist there and make that a historic rehabilitation as well. And so after all of this kind of pulling things together, you know, Mr. Michael Dutton, the town manager, members of the town council who are here in attendance today, they listened to us, they offered their feedback, and then they embraced what we wanted to do. And we went to purchase and sale on the school building as well as 242 Main Street. So this is the part that I really love about Bridgewater and this school building. So there are so many stories about the McElwain School. Everybody I talk to has a story in connection with the McElwain. I know so-and-so who went there, or I went there, or I remember Miss Parker's first grade class, and the little stools in the lunchroom that swung out, and we could sit on those. And most recently, actually a couple weeks ago, we had the last class of 1996. Someone showed up from the class and said, oh, we had a time capsule buried, and we want to recover it. So we recovered the time capsule, and we passed it along. So many memories. And so now that's come to pass, we want to instill those memories going forward and create a great new community here at the McElwain School Apartments. So this will now be known as the McElwain School Apartments. When complete, it's going to be 57 mixed income apartment homes for Bridgewater's working families. This is the first redevelopment in Bridgewater to use the low-income housing tax credit. It's the first project to use the state and federal historic tax credit. The project also had the benefit of a CPA contribution from the CPC, Community Preservation Committee, $1,345,000, a significant investment on behalf of the town. So thank you for that. We wouldn't be here without it. And that'll go to support affordable housing, historic preservation, and open space. Right where we're sitting here today will be a small park commemorating the McElwain School and the history. And right over there under those trees will be a playground for the kids. And it'll all be available to the community to use at their discretion. So here we are at the groundbreaking, surrounded by amazing people. Everybody here made this happen. All of the elected officials in the audience and sitting behind me, thank you so much for being here. And you'll hear from some folks, you'll hear from our lenders, but I do want to make a couple of specific thank yous. First I want to thank my family. My wife could not be here today. My kids are under the weather, so she's tending to them, but Amy, she made this come together. I mean, I wouldn't have started my own company without her. So thank you to her. Sorry, if you could hold your applause until I'm done, that'll move it along a little bit. Apologies. My in-laws, my parents, I want to thank them. My friends that are here in the audience, Jenny Tamarkin, who's kind of helps Jason and I on a day-to-day. She works for Capstone, and she's just amazing. We wouldn't be here without her. And of course, Jason, who is a partner, he's a friend, he's somebody that I deeply care about, and he cares about people. I mean, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Jason, so I truly thank him for that. I want to thank Michael Dutton, Kim Williams, who's here, other members of the town for their help, Jennifer Burke, no longer Burke, I believe, but I don't know if I saw her. And then also want to thank Representative D'Amelia, who couldn't be here, sends his regrets. Senator Pacheco, Senator Lynch, members from DHCD, thank you so much for your help. Also want to thank the CPC and the Community Preservation Committee. Without them, we wouldn't be here, and all the other town departments. Thank you for your help with permitting and all the various things that come into this. All of our lenders, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. And DHCD, of course, again, Jennifer McDonough, the project manager, I really want to thank her for all of her work on this. And then I want to thank our team, the attorneys at Nixon Peabody, Prowitz Chalinsky, I see our architects here in the audience, Keith Construction, we wouldn't be here without their help. Thank you so much. Copley Wolf Design Group, Amanda Ford, our owner's project manager, Kelly Engineering, thank you for being here, David. Lorero, our environmental consultant, Haley and Aldridge, our geotechnical consultant, Vanessa Traffic Hub, our insurance agent, eProperty Care, and Plant Healthcare Associates, our arborist. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jason to make a few remarks, but thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason Korb. I'm the principal of Capstone Communities. And as Matt said, the co-developer of this amazing project. Thank you all for coming out today, and especially for all of your commitment over the past 4 years. These deals are not easy, and they require years and years of work. It's very different than a market rate project where someone puts something under agreement, 90 days later they're under construction, and 10 months later they're leasing up. We're very much the opposite of that. I found an interesting quote. The children's author E.B. White once said, "There's no limit to how complicated things can get on account of one thing always leading to another." And that is kind of the affordable housing business. Our projects are only successful if we can form a public-private partnership with a city or town, and we really enjoy helping to implement a city's or town's vision. So we really don't want to come in and say, this is what we think you should do, and this is what we're going to do. It's really fun to be collaborative with cities and towns. But that then leads to a complex maze of local, state, and federal permits, which then leads to, and I crossed this out, it originally said 10 plus sources of local, state, federal, and private funding. And then I was talking to Mark, who said, wow, I can't believe you have 16 sources of funding. So it's a maze of funding. And then we get our financing, and then we're in a pandemic, of course, and the price of refrigerators are doubling by the day. And so construction pricing starts going crazy, yet somehow we always seem to get here. A project that showcases the best of our work, historic preservation of an architecturally significant school that's housed with storied histories, the conservation of these massive mature trees, and as you walk the site when you leave, take a look at the trees. They are absolutely incredible. That will sit over the playground that Matt mentioned, and the creation of a new passive house building that showcases the most advanced environmentally sustainable building measures. So on the one hand, we have this beautiful historic building, and right behind that, we're building this new, gorgeous building that is the most environmentally sustainable building probably on the South Shore. So it's really rewarding. These projects cannot happen without the team that Matt mentioned, and so thank you also from my heart for your commitment. You all worked mornings, weekends, late at night to ensure we could begin construction. But unequivocally, I can tell you that no one worked harder on this project than Matt. And that is absolutely true. If there's a captain of this ship, it is Matt, who sacrificed so much of his time, his energy, and life. Literally, he sacrificed a lot of time to ensure 57 families, and let's remember why we're all here, right? 57 families who desperately need this housing will be able to call McElwain School Apartments their home in little over a year. So thank you, Matt, for all you have done. When you become a business partner with someone in a project like this, you effectively marry them in a business sense. And I couldn't have chosen a better partner. It really comes down to Matt's ethics and morals are so much aligned with mine. I implicitly trust him, and that's just worth so much. I also want to take this opportunity, you're not going to like this, thank Kate Racer, who's here today, and her staff. And your staff. When I launched my company 10 years ago, I left Beacon, which is an unbelievable company, and it's where I cut my teeth, and I say I got my PhD working at Beacon. But I left, a great job, and I called up a few people, and Kate was one of them. And I said, I've left and I'm starting up my own business. And I found this building in Brockton, who a number of you are going to see today. And I said, I'm really excited about this. And there was a few people in my life that really encouraged me to do it. And Kate, you were one of them. So thank you for the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth, the Commonwealth not only supports large developers, but you also support us entrepreneurs as well. And that really, really means a lot to us and something I never forgot. And you're so committed to affordable housing, so thank you. Thank you also to Jenny Tamarkin, who Matt mentioned, your unrelenting commitment to my project, or to this project in my company. And now it's kind of your company too, is unparalleled. For those who know me, I'm a big mama's boy. My mother is here today. Just to say one thing about my mom, she instilled the importance of caring for others, and many times she always put herself in front of herself. She always put others in front of herself, and I've tried to live those values too in my life. And my girlfriend Nina is actually here today too, and I don't think I would have been able to get through this last year without you. So thank you for being here. And lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ruth Zillman. I might cry. So. Ruth is our zoning and land use attorney. She was an incredibly special person. She shared our passion for making our communities a better place. She was also a really close friend of mine, and through this work that we did. And she really believed in environmental sustainability. She was an environmental attorney as well. And her focus in her career was, besides zoning, was also just cleaning up the environment, making the world a healthier place to be. And so we really hope that this community, which she permitted, will be a lasting legacy for Ruth and all that she believed in. So keep in mind Ruth as you walk the site and think about her today. So I'm going to turn it back to Matt, who will introduce our first speaker. Right? Okay.
Thanks. I just want to turn it quickly over to Kim Williams from the town of Bridgewater to say a few words, and then she'll hand it off to another member of the community.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bridgewater. We are so thrilled that this project is going forward today. We thank Lieutenant Governor Polito and the Baker-Polito administration for your staunch support of workforce housing. We thank you because this project is an amazing first step for us to have affordable housing here in Bridgewater. So we thank you for that. We thank you for our town council, whose staunch support of this project. We could not do this without your support and guidance. So I'd just like you to raise your hands, our town council members who have been staunchly supportive of this project. And also to our team here in Bridgewater. We have Jennifer Burke. I'm gonna get the new last name wrong, but Jennifer Burke and our former town engineer, now DPW director, Azu Ediranu, for your tireless work on this project as well. We'd like you to raise your hand just quickly in the back. And to Matt and Jason, thank you for your ideas and your vision. It has been a true pleasure to work with you. Anytime we had questions or comments, and sometimes some good old guidance, you came through for us, and we appreciate all of your efforts here. We look forward to, in a year, opening this building to many Bridgewater families. So with that, I will turn the dais over to our Vice President of our Town Council, Fred Chase. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate that introduction. And good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Town Council, and at the request of Council President Matt Rushton, who's unavailable today, I'd like to welcome to Bridgewater the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth, the Honorable Karen Polito, our State Senator, the Honorable Mark Pacheco, Housing and Economic Development Secretary Mike Keneally, and Clark Ziegler, Executive Director of the Massachusetts Housing Partnership. These individuals, together with many other honored guests, state and local government officials, and of course representatives of Capstone Communities and MPZ Development. Welcome to all. Just a quick historical note, the edifice that we stand beside today has long been emblematic of the 20th century history of the town of Bridgewater. The McElwain School is named for William McElwain, a Bridgewater industrialist and benefactor whose shoe manufacturing factory provided employment in the town to hundreds of citizens over the course of many years. Many historic artifacts remain present in Bridgewater today to remind us of our industrial past in pursuit of activities such as brick making and iron production, nail and shoe manufacturing, just to name a few industries. What sets apart the McElwain School as a town landmark, I believe, is the story of its creation. When William McElwain's shoe factory was destroyed by fire in the 1890s, citizens of Bridgewater subscribed for the purchase of shares of the company in order to fund the rebuilding of the factory. William McElwain was for some years a prominent figure in the civic life of Bridgewater, recognizing the responsibility of the business community to the citizenry. Following his death in 1908, a McElwain family member donated to the town the land upon which we now stand for construction of this school as an enduring monument to the memory of William McElwain. And for 84 years thereafter, the McElwain School served the educational needs of hundreds of Bridgewater students. From its earliest days over a century ago, this school has represented a partnership between the citizens of Bridgewater and the town's business community. As such, I think it is only fitting today that a public-private partnership be responsible for the repurposing of this historic site. Bridgewater's commitment to affordable housing initiatives has been greatly advanced by our strategic partnership with Capstone Communities and MPZ Development. On behalf of the Bridgewater Town Council, many of my colleagues of which are here today with me, congratulations are extended to all parties who have contributed to the structuring, implementation, and funding of this milestone project. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Counselor. It is my distinct honor to introduce Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito. Lieutenant Governor Polito is in her second term as the 72nd Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I can say firsthand that she is a tireless leader for affordable housing and has been a champion of this project since we first came up with the idea, and I believe she had some conversations with Bridgewater officials when you were down here. So thank you for your support of this project, Governor.
Great. Good morning. We are certainly on a roll coming off this weekend with the Patriots win. Red Sox are definitely moving in the right direction and doing a great job in a marathon under our belt yesterday. And to come here today, fresh out of the box to celebrate this accomplishment with our partners in Bridgewater and our partners with Matt and Jason and with our team at the state level, legislative as well as at DHCD. This is clearly a home run. So I'm thrilled to be here with all of you. A couple of things. Let me just start out of the box by saying thanks for making this personal. I loved hearing the story about Matt starting his business 4 years ago, acknowledging those at home, young children, a wife who is not on your development team, but in essence is, because you would leave in the morning early and come home at night and talk about this project. And it was always more than a project for you. Thanks for making it personal and for your achievements here, but also we wish you continued success. And also to Jason, you're a little bit longer in terms of your business, 4 years, 10 years, but you also took that risk to start something that you felt was very important, and for also sharing the personal story with your mother being the wind behind your sail and being here today really does underscore that. I want to acknowledge the personal part of the DHCD team, how much they care about their partners and seeing projects like this come to fruition. And Kate, I always learn something new about you at these events, the idea that you take then seriously the mentor role in helping other people understand the importance of this and giving them the support they need to get through the thorny details involved in these projects and not run out the door, but run toward these projects to help us get them done. So just great stuff. Thanks, again, making it personal. To our friends at the local level, the governor and I, as many of you know, being former local officials, value tremendously our relationships with city and town officials all across our state. And we could not see projects like this come to fruition if you did not have the support of the local community. Yes, it starts with the counselors and the policy makers in a community that set the tone and set the course for something like this to happen, which is adding more affordable, accessible housing in your community. I want to thank you, the town of Bridgewater, for being one of those early adopters of the housing choice zoning reform package so that you could envision a new use for a building here that was long put to use to educate students here in your community will now long be put to use to providing a safe and healthy living environment for perhaps students that might have graduated from this school that are still here in this community, or people of this community that want to be able to stay here and afford to live here, that can find a residence here. So thank you for embracing housing as a key part of your community development strategy, and for allowing us to partner with you to help the developer identify 16 sources of funding to get this project underway. We are on a community housing, 12 community affordable housing tour to spotlight and highlight the critical need for more housing all across our state. We anticipate needing 200,000 new units of housing by 2030. 2030 is right around the corner, and it's going to take continued efforts like this for us to be able to achieve that goal. So thank you for doing your part. And if every community of our Commonwealth will follow your lead and learn from your example and do their part, we will achieve that goal and perhaps even exceed it. It's a housing crisis for this Commonwealth. If people can't afford to live here, they will simply have to go someplace else. We want the next generation of kids graduating from our schools to be able to afford to live here. We want people who have done their part as taxpayers to be able to age gracefully in housing that is supportive to them, and all of the housing in between. Next stop is to Brockton, where we are for the first time having a hotel repurposed from serving homeless individuals to single room occupancy, working with our partners to help end homelessness and transition people into the supportive housing that they need. Later on, we'll be going to celebrate the extension of supportive senior housing, something that you clearly embrace here in Bridgewater. There are many, many examples, and we just need more. So that's why we're here today, to celebrate with you, to say thank you, and to give you the inspiration that you need to keep doing your part. Congratulations to all of you. The other piece of this is we need resources to continue to do this work. Our administration has put to use $1.4 billion since 2015. We would like to see more dollars put to use here. We have this one-time opportunity with the ARPA funds that have been shared from the federal government with our state, that the legislature is now considering how to authorize those funds for. We outlined a $1 billion plan, half of it for affordable housing, half of it for home ownership. And I know that Senator Pacheco has been a long champion for affordable housing in this Commonwealth, and affordable housing and all housing built with energy efficiency in mind, which is music to his ears to see a major part of this project include those high standards. And I'd now like the senator to come forward and talk a little bit about their work in the legislature, and I really want to thank him for being a great partner to our administration around housing, climate, and energy efficiency. And with that, Senator Pacheco.
Thank you very, very much, Lieutenant Governor. To you and the Governor, thank you for your leadership on affordable housing. And specifically, thank you for your leadership with climate, energy efficiency, making sure that when we're building new affordable housing in the Commonwealth, that it will meet the highest standards in terms of energy efficiency. It only makes sense for that investment and for future generations. So I want to thank you very much for the partnership with the legislature in being committed to not only this effort here in this project, but so many across the Commonwealth. The administration has a goal that I support of actually taking the built environment and looking at existing housing, 1 million units over 10 years, 100,000 a year, and doing a deep dive in energy efficiency so that we can bring demand for energy down, greenhouse gas emissions down, create jobs at the same time, and improve our quality of health care in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's what we should all be working towards. So I want to, again, thank you very much for your leadership on that. And I want to thank all of the town councilors, everyone that is here at the local level, all of the local officials that are here, that saw this vision and decided to say yes to it. Yes for the citizens here, and also the community preservation funds that were utilized as well to help to preserve the history that is here in the McElwain School. So, and I want to, in particular, give a shout out to the leaders here, Matt and Jason and Mark, all of you. You can tell when they came up to the microphone how excited they are about moving forward with this project. And that excitement is what we need to be doing here in the Commonwealth with housing. Affordable housing is something that is critical to everything that we want to have in a successful economy for the Commonwealth. And so I want to thank you all for the fantastic work that you have done. I also want to thank my colleague, Angelo D'Amelia, for his support in the legislature. I want to thank our federal partners, because federal resources have also been brought to bear here, a partnership of federal, state, local, community preservation, and I forgot how many other funding sources you guys went out and got to make sure that this came together. So I want to thank Congressman Lynch and our entire federal delegation, our 2 United States senators as well, Elizabeth Warren and Senator Markey, for their commitment to these types of initiatives. And finally, I want to thank the staff at housing at the state level. You know, behind all of these projects that take place, whether it's housing or education or whatever it happens to be, yes, there are bureaucrats that are behind the scene, and they are, you know, nameless for the most part, except for projects like this where you can actually recognize some people that have been doing it. But if you don't have those dedicated public servants that are there, prudently using our collective tax dollars to invest in the future, then we'd all be in trouble. And so I want to thank them for their public service. Finally, I just want to say how excited I am about the statement that was made a little bit ago about this potentially being the most energy efficient project, the sustainability project in all of the Commonwealth, in all of the South Coast part of the Commonwealth in particular. I am excited about that. Please applaud for that, because that is what we need to do. We need to do more of it. I want to now turn it over to Secretary Keneally. And thankfully, Secretary Keneally has had a long history in working with the Bacon-Polito administration in various roles. He was actually a co-chair of the Life Science Board at one point in time. So he understands the need for our economy to have this housing for people. And he understands the complexity of our economy and the need for affordable housing. This project will have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. Maybe we'll even have one of the former students here actually be residing in this place. If that happens, please let me know, because I think that's a great photo op for the future of this project. He's smiling because he's been looking. I know he probably has been out there trying to search for that story. But let me just bring the secretary up, who is a wealth of knowledge and has been one of the leading advocates for housing in the Commonwealth, Secretary Keneally.
Well, thank you, Senator, for that really kind introduction. It is wonderful to be with you all here this morning. What a great day for Bridgewater, a great day for the state. I want to thank and congratulate Matt and Jason on the project. I want to acknowledge, in particular, the town of Bridgewater and the commitment of CPA funds. That is very, very meaningful. You know, we try to be the most active, engaged partners we can be at the state level for housing. At the end of the day, these are local decisions, and the city or town has to want more housing and want to put the resources behind it. So that's a very meaningful commitment. So my thanks and acknowledgement on that. I'd encourage folks to take a look at that banner up there on the building, because if you look at all the names on there, in so many respects, it illustrates how we get things done in affordable housing in Massachusetts. It's a very complicated recipe. Someone mentioned all the funding sources. And the folks here from the state, DHCD, Mass Housing Partnership, MHIC, CDAC, this is a group of very committed state partners working with developers, working with local sources of capital to get things done. And it really does illustrate just how collaborative this work is. As the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, we're on a tour of affordable housing all across the Commonwealth, 6 days, 12 communities, 36 different projects. I did a similar tour a couple years ago. And I'll tell you, it is just inspiring to get out and just see the work. And all these projects, they kind of start in a similar place. They start with a building or a site, and they start with an idea of how to create housing out of that site. And in turn, to have an impact on the community and an impact on people. And the amount of collaboration, tenacity, creativity it takes to start from that building and get to that place where you have the housing and you have the impact on people. It is just, I'll use that word again, it's inspiring to see. I do want to specifically mention the team at DHCD, Undersecretary Jennifer Maddox and Kate Racer, my partners in all things housing. It is just, again, this team does a tremendous job. And DHCD has had to do so much over these last 18 months during the pandemic. Among other things, running something we call the Eviction Diversion Initiative, which is literally a nation-leading effort to keep people housed during the pandemic. But while they've been doing all that, the housing production engine hasn't stopped, has it, Kate? We keep making more awards, and this award was made in 2020. So we keep making more funding awards for more affordable housing. And it's wonderful to see. The team does a tremendous job. As the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, we're in the middle of a housing crisis. I always say we don't use that term lightly, but we do use it often. The word crisis does characterize housing in the Commonwealth for at least a generation now. In the last 30 years, we produced less than half the amount of housing we produced in the prior 30-year period of time. And so during a period of time, a single generation, when our economy's grown, our population's grown, our housing production has gone down. And I hope we all believe in supply and demand, but when you have rising demand and falling supply, what do you have? You have rising prices. We have now among the most expensive housing markets of anywhere in the country. We've got incredibly expensive home ownership opportunities, incredibly expensive rental housing. And we simply need to produce a lot more housing to get us out of this crisis. The Lieutenant Governor used that one word that probably best summarizes our housing strategy, which is more. We need more. We need more of all types of housing everywhere in the Commonwealth, too, as the Senator mentioned, to support this incredible economy. And I can't overstate the importance of this ARPA proposal the governor's made before the legislature. So the state got $5.3 billion from the American Rescue Plan Act. The governor wants to spend $1 billion of that on housing, about $500 million for home ownership, and about half for the production of more affordable rental housing opportunities. And for perspective, that would allow us to do 50% more every year on rental housing, and would allow us to fund projects. There's about 175 projects and our pipeline at DHED would help us fund those projects. So the proposal is really important, it's really timely, and it helps us fund proven programs and proven projects. So hopefully we will get that done, and we'll see a lot more of this. But this is a wonderful day. I want to thank and congratulate everybody involved. It's wonderful to see this work and see this impact on the community and the impact on the lives of people who live here. With that, I'm going to turn it over to one of our great partners in housing, Clark Ziegler. Clark and his team at Mass Housing Partnership are invaluable in so many respects of our work in housing, around data, around financing, around technical assistance. So with that, I'll bring up Clark Ziegler. Thank you all.
Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. We're thrilled to be providing the permanent mortgage financing for this project at the completion of construction, but our involvement actually goes a number of years before that. We assisted the town in developing community support for the disposition of this building, and we also assisted the town with a technical review of the RFP responses. Now, there was not, as we've heard, there was not a lot of competition for this building, but I can say from firsthand experience, the town could not have ended up with any better development team than Matt and Jason. This is a dream team. They have experience, they have integrity, and they will produce a great development here, and the town's really proud of that selection. Just to really quickly echo the couple of the comments made by the Lieutenant Governor and Secretary. I don't need to tell you how severe the housing crisis is in Massachusetts, and how on top of our already nation-leading rents and home prices, how much worse things have become during the pandemic. We have a tremendous amount of work to do, and it requires that every city and town in the Commonwealth step up, like Bridgewater has done, to make available land and buildings to produce the housing we need to meet the needs of this Commonwealth. And you know, I talk a lot about the obligation of communities to step up, and many have. But there's also an obligation on those of us at the state level to support those efforts. And in our shop, we've supported 60 cities and towns producing affordable housing from surplus buildings and surplus land like this. We have a pipeline of 30 more communities right now, another couple thousand units to go. We have a lot of work to do, but a lot of opportunity to produce more housing. So my pledge to you from MHP, we love the financing. We'll do it all day long. But even more than that, we love working with communities to get developments like this done. And so let's get this construction done. Let's get this building occupied. Let's take a deep breath, and let's go out and do it again. So Bridgewater and any other community that's ready to step up again, as we all need to do, we will be there to support you. With that, I'd like to turn the mic over to Kathy McGilvery, who's the Director of Investment at MHIC, the Massachusetts Housing Investment Corporation.
Good morning, everyone. I hope my voice holds out. I did a little bit too much yelling at my television last night. I'm honored to be here to celebrate the groundbreaking for the McElwain School Apartments. This is actually the first in-person groundbreaking I've done since the pandemic, so it makes it particularly special, especially to be here with Matt and Jason, who MHIC has worked with for a long time. On behalf of Joe Flatley, our president and CEO, I offer congratulations to the whole team, and in particular to Jason and Matt, for the vision they had to see a vacant school, a 3-family home, and an overgrown lot to be turned into a vibrant residential community with 57 homes affordable to families at a range of incomes. As way of background, as Clark said, I'm the Director of Investment for Massachusetts Housing Investment Corporation, otherwise known as MHIC. We're a private nonprofit with a mission to provide financing for affordable housing and community development. I like to think of our role almost as a matchmaker. We raise capital primarily from banks and connect that capital to impactful developments like this one. In this case, we provided both the construction loan in partnership with the Life Initiative. As well, our investors are buying the federal housing tax credits, solar tax credits, and historic tax credits. So $10.6 million in equity to the projects. A key aspect of our founding mission 3 decades ago is to ensure that the benefits of our financing flow to minority business enterprises, MBEs, and workers of color. So we're particularly proud to share that the project team, Jason, Matt, their contractor, Keith Construction, have committed to direct $2.5 million of subcontracts to MBEs. and 25% of the hours worked on the job to people of color. We really deeply appreciate them embracing our racial equity and inclusion mission. So we were founded 31 years ago, and we've invested in communities across the Commonwealth, but this is our first investment in Bridgewater. It's wonderful to see high-quality affordable housing being developed here, and I want to congratulate Kim and Fred and the rest of the town leadership for their commitment. And of course, this couldn't happen without the support of the Commonwealth, so I wanted to say my own personal thank you to Lieutenant Governor Polito, Secretary Keneally, Undersecretary Maddox, of course, Kate and the rest of the team at DHCD, CDAC, MHP, and Mass Housing. Last but not least, I want to thank my colleagues at MHIC who are here. First and foremost, Chrissy Vincenti, the investment officer on this project, who worked tirelessly to get this through our very conservative loan and investment committees for approval and got the deal to the closing table. Melissa Chapman from our asset management team will help shepherd the project through a 15-year federal low-income housing tax credit compliance period. And I just want to mention Spencer Thornley, who actually didn't work on this project, but lives in Bridgewater and grew up nearby and bumped into one of his high school best friends, who happens to be the super from Keith Construction, on the job this morning. So really great, and I appreciate all the expertise that all three of you bring to your work. With that, I'm going to close by saying to Jason, Matt, the town of Bridgewater, and the Commonwealth, we're so proud to be partnering with all of you. And I'm going to pass the baton to Mark Teeden, the VP of Multifamily Programs at Mass Housing.
Today I stand before you representing the state's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and we're very, very pleased to be here. This is the Trust Fund's first deal in Bridgewater, and so we hope there's many more. I want to acknowledge Lieutenant Governor Polito and Secretary Keneally for their efforts. I also want to thank Jason for the high-quality team that he assembled. This is our fourth deal with you, and let's hope, again, there's many more of those. Affordable housing projects are great projects. I'm just preaching to the choir here, right? Adaptive reuse projects are also very interesting to do, repurposing existing buildings. New buildings do tend to get bigger attention on adaptive reuse projects because they're larger and, but school buildings are a really interesting project to work on. These schools were originally built to be part of the fabric of a community. Transportation was such that schools needed to be central. And so when, life changes and the school facilities are no longer needed, there's usually a hole in where that school was, as there is here, and it's been vacant for a long time. So it's just terrific to see a school building like this repurposed to now become part of the fabric of the community, because there's going to be 57 families that will be living here. And it's a terrific outcome for the use of the money. This project accomplished a lot of goals, and as such was very complicated. A lot of sources of funds came together to make this happen. I would also like to acknowledge my colleagues at DHCD, who brought about half of those sources to bear here, and for their tireless work, as well as my colleagues at the Affordable Housing Trust. Both groups humbly go about their business, making a tremendous impact for the residents of the Commonwealth. And I just think that is worth honoring yet again. Thank you. So Jason, thank you for your imagination and stick-to-itiveness and doggedness. It's really a great day. And I'd like to introduce Mike Gondek from the Life Initiative, who provided the construction financing for the project.
Good morning, everyone. Let me start by recognizing my good friend and CEO, Kristen Harrell, who's lurking in the back there. Kristen ceded her speaking prerogatives to me this morning, which, I don't know, I think it'll work out, Kristen, but she did mention to me, however, an important point. She said, Mike, there may be a few people in the audience for whom the Life Initiative is not a household word. Which always comes as a surprise to me. So let me explain to you that We're a private loan fund set up and capitalized by, as the name suggests, the life insurance companies who are headquartered in Massachusetts. We're relatively small in the big picture of affordable housing, $100 million loan fund. But the one thing we do have is some flexibility with how we use our capital. And so when we had helped finance development by Trinity Financial when Matt worked there, so Matt and I had got to know each other in that context, and when he decided to go out on his own, he came to me and said, Mike, Jason Korb and I are looking at this property in Bridgewater, but we're going to need some help with early capital. Jason and I had known each other for many years, Red Sox games, stuff like that, but we never actually had a chance to work together. So it's an exciting opportunity for us. I think several people have alluded to the fact that it takes a long time to bring affordable housing projects to fruition. It also takes a lot of money just to get them to the point where they can get the financing commitments from DHCD, Mass Housing, everyone else, and actually start construction. So we made $1.5 million loan to Matt and Jason pre-construction, financed the acquisition of the building next door, and gave them the funds they needed to move things along to get to the point where we are today, which was terrific for us, a great opportunity for us to work with them and to work on such a wonderful project. The added sort of nice feature about this to us is, and this doesn't happen as often as we'd like it to, but in this case, thanks to our friends at MHIC, we're able to not only be involved with Matt and Jason from the start, but also be involved in the construction financing as well. MHIC is the lead lender, but we are a participant with them, which is a great position for us to be in. So we get to see the project all the way through up until occupancy, which is really nice. A lot's been said about the town of Bridgewater already. You're probably getting tired of hearing praise, but I will say that it was really terrific to see a town step up and provide the kind of support, both political and financial, that the town did to this project. We've certainly been involved with many others where we don't have that kind of support at the local level, and it makes Jennifer and Kate's life a lot easier when a locality pitches in like Bridgewater did here. So thank you very much for all of your efforts and help at the local level. And we've got another project going with Jason and Matt, so stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you to everyone who came out today to celebrate with us. My name is Jenny Tamarkin, and I work for Capstone Communities. Almost exactly 4 years ago today, I applied for a job with Capstone. As part of my interview, I was to submit a writing sample, which was to be a cover letter for an RFP for an old school in the town of Bridgewater. So after reading through the RFP, I was so excited about the prospect of developing predominantly affordable and historic housing in the town of Bridgewater, and I was really hoping that I got this job. And 4 years ago, I could have never imagined that it would turn into the project that it is today. 4 years later, I'm so proud and so honored to be a part of this team that's making this happen. A huge thank you to Keith Construction, Prowitz Chilinski, all of our consultants. We wouldn't be here without you. And a special thank you to all of our lenders, investors, Town of Bridgewater. And I also want to mention, on behalf of Matt, Jason, and myself, we'd like to extend a special thank you to Undersecretary Maddox, DHCD, for her commitment and passion for affordable housing. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank Matt and Jason for letting me be a part of this project and really teaching me everything that I know. It's been such an incredible opportunity, and I'm so excited to move forward with the construction of this project. So thank you again to everyone who came out to speak today. And before I let you go, I'd like to invite the town councilor at large, Dennis Gallagher, up to the podium for a presentation.
So this is kind of a running, I wouldn't call it a joke, but it's very serious in that when we started this project, Councilor Gallagher was adamant that the school had value, and we agreed with him. And so the town had looked for a purchase price for the school. And Dennis wanted to see a check at the end of that. So we have a check today for the town of Bridgewater for Dennis, and they've reinvested all this money back into the project. But it's ceremonial in that it's true how much value this school has, not only monetarily, but also all of that it's done for the community. So Dennis, your check.
Thank you.
Photo op. Yeah.
Smile, please smile.
Yeah.
How about some dirt action?
All right, we're gonna do it on the count of 3 though.
Okay.
It's the only way this works.
Okay,
Ready?
ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.